You haven't gone live. You're right.
So we are live now, finally, thanks to one particular Hollywood star. Welcome to Grumpy Old Reds. Evening, everybody. I might as well say good night because a certain individual who believes in his own hype decides that he wants to make it fashionably late and he can't speak because he's on mute. Hope you guys are doing well and was triggered at 7. Anyway, we got a lot to discuss tonight. We've got to talk about these Nuno ball tactics. We've got the latest on Douglas Luiz. There's links to the Southampton player. Maybe sorry, Mike, if you're watching. Habibi, come. And yeah, plenty of other stuff. So make sure you hit the like, make sure you subscribed. But I guess we start with he's back, ladies and gents. He's back. Ez made it back on time. What are you saying, Ez?
Yeah. I'm all good, bro. Let him in. Let him have his moment, man.
All
I
right,
want to know
man.
anyway. So Danilo.
Here we go. Here comes the 20 minutes of Ant telling us everything going on.
No. I've missed all you guys. I've missed the chat. I've missed the banter. I've not missed the Forest news because there's not been a lot. But apart from that, glad to be back. I'm rearing to go, refreshed, revived, and ready to go. Ready to rumble.
Wait, you're not giving us details?
About what?
Where you been? What you done?
Well, I've been to Piraeus. I've been to the Olympiacos ground, which is very nice. And believe it or not, we all went there with the intention of paying full price, no DHgate business here, for the new home kit for Olympiacos. And you know what? They didn't have any. It's not out yet. Because it's the 100-year anniversary one, and it's not out yet. So, DHgate, here I come. So that was disappointing. But yeah, Piraeus, Athens, Mykonos, Heraklion, Corfu, Montenegro, Dubrovnik, which was beautiful. I think that's it. I don't think I've missed any out. So yeah,
it wasn't just a holiday.
Malta,
yeah.
No.
It
was.
You like to see what it was?
No, to celebrate my brother's nuptials. That means getting married to those in the chat.
Yeah. Explain it to the young generation.
Yeah, my brother got married on board by the captain, which is beautiful. 47 guests, which for a cruise guest list is pretty high.
Bloody hell, that would have filled out the Bournemouth stadium.
I think you should just clarify for those who haven't been on a cruise. Your brother didn't get married to the captain, right?
No, not to the captain. He was married by the captain.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But not to the captain.
So his lovely young wife, Rona. She'll like that.
Congratulations to Rona. Wait, by the way, guys, can you hear Ant echoing?
Rona. Yeah, am I echoing?
Yeah, you are.
He's not. We are.
Yeah, but I'm in the chat. Yeah. All right.
Just fucking press mute.
I come back and I'm told to mute straight away. Fair enough.
We've had enough. Yeah, so congratulations to Nathan. Commiserations to Rona.
Sorry, my brother's just reminded me I went to Italy as well, Taranto, and had a cappuccino. Sorry.
Yeah, we also have your picture. Okay, when Ant's on mute, is the echo gone, everyone? This freaking old idiot can't even operate a mic once he's been off for 2 weeks. Okay, I get has the echo gone? I know there's an echo because it's Ant, right? But has it gone now that, and I'm not going to trust all of you. Martin, you tell me in the chat. All right, while I'm waiting for Martin to tell me, big up to Stuart with the £10. He goes, about Forest time, boys, disgraceful behavior. You think you Danny Levy? He does. We were all here on time, including him, by the way, but he hadn't checked his crap out and he's messed it all up. So shout out to you, Stuart. Big up to Gary as well with the £2. Oh, I love this mute Ant. It's just so nice, man. It's so nice and quiet. Make sure you join in the Discord as well. The link's pinned in the chat. Right, we've got to get into it. It's gone when Ant's on mute. Okay, cool. Thank you. I trust you guys. All right. So, did a live yesterday about sorry, this has to interrupt it. Chris says, with the £2, the Pillock returns. And he can't even reply back to you, Chris. That's the best thing. We're going to keep him on mute as long as possible. Right. I want to get into everyone's thoughts about this Nuno ball that's apparently changing, because I've seen no evidence of it in these friendlies. I've seen evidence of new formations, but I don't know. I want to see it. I want to see it. Don't get me wrong. I love the idea of it. But is it going to happen, Ez? What are you saying? Firstly, are you interested in it?
100% interested in it. We discussed his formation, how it would work in any sort of European challenge. And I think at the time, obviously, we're talking about Champions League rather than Europa. But I argued that it would work in Europe, especially against a bigger team. But it's not. We found out sooner or later, and it was towards the end of the season. We clearly saw it. We couldn't match up against teams like Brentford and Everton and Leicester at home. So it was found lacking last season. And with the players that we're linked with, our biggest problem since we've been promoted, and we've all said it, and you've definitely been one to push it, Wolfie, is our midfield situation. We have not controlled a midfield. We haven't controlled any games in midfield throughout our promotional seasons. And I think that looking at the players that we're linked with, they're the type of players that would give us that control in midfield. Obviously, Luiz, for me, is the biggest one. Look, thinking back to a couple of months ago, we were discussing it. And I think you jokingly said he'd be a marquee signing. And I thought, I said at the time, if he's a marquee signing, no, you weren't joking. But at the time, I said, if he's a marquee signing, I'm a little bit worried. But to be honest, right now, I'd 100% take him. I take him as a player anyway. The attitude problem may be an issue, but I don't think it will be. Not with a Portuguese-speaking manager with a more settled club and being back in the Premier League. Whatever his problems were at Juve, it was more off the field. It wasn't to do with what was going on the field. But I do think he needs time to settle in. He needs to get match fitness, match sharpness, whatever you want to call it. I think it's the sharpness rather than the fitness. I'm sure he's kept himself fit. He's a thorough professional. He actually looks in great shape at the moment from his clips that I've seen of him. We get those kind of players in that midfield, then Nuno ball can happen. We can look at different formations and we can start dominating games, which is what we need to do. So yeah, I'm all for it, mate. And I hope that the players that we're linked with, the likes of Ramsey, the likes of McAtee, think about the flexibility that would give us in midfield to do these formations that we're going to discuss in today's show. But I'm loving it. I'm loving the links, and I like the idea of something change. Something has to change, and I think all Forest fans agree with that.
Okay, are you off mute? Because I can hear a fucking echo again.
Oh shit! Well, I tried it.
Your gain, it's your gain, and I'm telling you now, your gain's too high. While he's doing that, Ben, what are you saying, man? Like, would you like to see like this 4-3-1-2 is the one that's being discussed with two up front? Are you for two strikers? Chat, yes or no in the chat? Y or N? Do you want two up front? What are you saying, Ben?
I mean, on paper, not really. That's some type of like old school horrible FIFA formation. But the one thing I would say is that what has worked so far in preseason is Jesus looks good alongside Wood, which I wouldn't have expected. But I think it was 2 games ago where Jesus was kind of playing as like a right forward and Chris Wood as the left forward, and it didn't actually look bad. They linked up pretty well. But you know, I would prefer a 4-3-3 formation, and I think if we do get Luiz, blocking out that midfield is going to be a game changer for us. Like I've been worried based on, you know, the signing so far this season if we're going to do worse than we did last year. But I'm starting to think we actually might do better. The one thing I did want to say is that how the dogs echoing. The one thing I did want to say is that we need the biggest difference we need from this season to last season is the players on our bench have got to be a near same quality. So I'm sure we'll talk about the rumours of Sangare being sold, but if you bring someone like a Douglas Luiz in, the person you want to have backing him up is a Sangare. It's not a Ryan Yates, for example. And you know, when you've got MGW in a 3, you can replace it. You can replace him with Anderson, etc., etc. If we can get a proper squad built and not just have a good 11, but a good 18 or so, that will be a huge difference for us. And obviously everyone knows that we're in 4 competitions this season. So if we can build on that midfield, we know our defense is solid. We know our attack is probably going to be pretty good. I think Jesus looks pretty sharp, and Wood still looks on form, which is good as well. The big thing for me is that midfield. We need to secure that midfielder, but not just as a starting 11, but on the bench as well.
And you've been up and down at some points throughout the season. I think it's fair to say. Me and you have had many boredom discussions, etc.
Yeah.
Like, what are you saying? Huh?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but you're echoing. But go on, when you speak, it won't echo. So go on, give us your thoughts on this.
On what? Because I was trying to sort my mic out. On what?
The gain's still too high. The formation change, man. Not even the
That's too
formation.
high.
Sorry, not the formation change. The style change. He wants to be more
There's no
possession.
style change.
No, he wants to.
Yeah, I don't believe him. I don't believe him. What more do you want me to say? There's no way he's going to turn it into a possession side. It's not his thing. I mean, I could talk about Douglas Luiz if you like. I could talk about Sangare, and I could talk about pop music. I'd be absolutely delighted if we got to. Sorry, it's because I'm hesitating because I know I'm echoing shit, but.
You're not
When
echoing.
you're talking, it's fine. When you're talking, it's fine. Yeah, go on.
I should just talk all the time, then. Is this what we're saying?
Shit, we shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted with the Douglas Luiz links. I hope and pray. It looks like it could happen. I just think Forest need to push for it. I understand that, we have to be careful with our money, like everybody except Liverpool does. But I think he's a player worth getting. I don't give a shit about his so-called attitude. Couldn't care less about that. Never have done. Never worries me at all. With the right manager, you don't have that attitude problem. I think in Juventus, I think he was just dropped into a mess at Juventus, and they were a mess and are still a mess. With a manager that he probably doesn't even communicate with. I don't know what language they speak, but he just never settled. And that happens when you go to, particularly when you go to a foreign country. I know that England's foreign country to win, but he's had 5 years here. Yeah. So I think that coming back to England, coming to a stable club like Forest and playing regular football, I think it'd be absolutely fantastic for us. However, I would be absolutely disgusted if we sold Sangare, because I think Sangare's shown in the last few games of the season, and from what I understand, and I've not, full disclosure, I've not watched any of the preseason games, thank the Lord. From what I've read about them and heard about them. But from what I've heard, he's played well. He's still looking like a Rolls Royce. He looks leaner, fitter, sharper. And that, to me, is fantastic news, because he is. You and I, you and I, I've been off here for a while. Sorry, mate. You and I, Wolfie, we've spoken a lot of times about Sangare. You and I have never lost the faith, and I hope that he can repay us, because there's a lot of...
I've never lost the faith either.
Well, I know.
I know you two wavered. You two wavered.
As if I've ever slagged Sangare off. Okay.
Fair enough, Ez. I apologise if you feel left out.
That's all right. You bros stay together.
So obviously, the four of us all the time said that it was fantastic.
I mean, you lot were wrong on Taiwo, and I was right. But...
No.
Why? Why? What are you saying? Is he good or crap?
Well, I think he's crap, but as wanted to play.
I said before anybody even dreamt of it, we need to get rid of him. So don't come that.
Yeah, you did. So you were going to sell him for like 20 million.
Ez thought he was our striker to lead us into the Champions League.
That looks a good price now, Ez.
Actually, so I do remember.
I feel a lot, Go on.
I was just going to say, I do remember.
Because...
No. I was going to praise you, so I'm going to mute you for a second when I say this, right? I do remember there was discussions about Taiwo being sold for 50 million, and Ant was saying, I'd snap your hand off twice, and who the hell's going to come in 50 million for him? Could you imagine getting 50 million for him now? So, anyway, all right, I'll unmute him now.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. Other people saying 70 or 80 million, weren't they? I feel a lot better now. It's been up and down. When Elanga was sold, I was really pissed off about that, because I don't know why we sold certainly one of our better players and a goal creator and a goal scorer for a paltry 55 million. And I mean that. It's paltry for a player that's got the GA with that potential.
But you not think that's the reason to change tactics? Because he was the core of our counter-attack.
Yeah, but we're trying to get Traore, aren't we? Evidently. So that shows that, yeah. Well, you know where I'm coming from, though, yeah?
But that for
I've
me,
seen a lot of this. It's not as good as Ndoye. Yeah, that remains to be seen in the Premier League, doesn't it? Because he has been playing in a Farmers League. Let's not forget. I know he was good in the Euros. Okay, 3 or 4 games. That's great. But let's see. A lot of money. Let's see. Let's hope.
Wait, hold on. You wanted Yilmaz based on him cooking Van Dijk against Holland, man.
How many times I've said to you, football fans are allowed to be A, fickle, and B, hypocritical. That's part of being a football fan. So don't bring that to the table. Yeah, so anyway, at that point, when MGW looked like he was pissing off for a paltry 60 mil, I was beginning to really get downhearted. But since
we haven't had your views on MG Dub situation. How did you think it played out, and how do you feel now?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I don't hold anything against him at all. For 2 reasons. A, you can't blame a guy for wanting to double his wages, go to a Champions League or play in London and in that stadium. You can't blame a player for having that, right? B, he's never actually said anything. He's never come out and said, I want to leave. He's not gone on strike like the Visses of this world and the Isaacs of this world and 1 or 2 others of this world. Jokeres. Yeah, he's not done that. He's remained professional. He's turned up for training. He's come to the camp. He's signed a new contract. He makes Mr. Marinakis, and as he said, yeah, in 10 minutes, no problem. Yeah, I'll sign. So, yeah, that's fair enough. No, fair enough. I don't begrudge anybody else if they think he's a snake and stuff. That's fine. But for me, I think that he still wants to go, probably. But I think the only way he's going to get a move is by playing well, and that suits me. If we keep him another season and he plays brilliantly, then I'm happy. And then we get a better price for him. Hey, it's good stuff.
And did you see the article that was released by Percy, breaking it down? So basically saying that, 1, they didn't trigger the release clause correctly. They failed to trigger certain parts of the release clause. And also that basically he's not kicked up, as you just said, he's not kicked up a fuss throughout this whole thing. He's stayed very silent. There were issues with his partner, as far as we know, which delayed his arrival in Portugal. But he still went and joined the rest of the team. There was no question of him not doing that. I know there was a few of us, even myself, said, I don't think I want him part of the squad until we know what's happening with his future, which I think a lot of people would have agreed with. But he did get it done, and he didn't kick up a fuss. And if anything, I think he's come out pretty well out of this. But the other major part was that there is no gentleman's agreement. There's certainly no release clause now, and there's no gentleman's agreement for him to leave at the end of the season. So yes, he could have a great season, but Mr. Marinakis could still say at the end of it, but no, nothing sealed there. You're staying for another year before we get what we want out of you. But I'm happy with the situation. I think it's the best case scenario for what was on offer on the table. I've said this in a previous stream, and for what we had coming in, there was nobody coming in that could replace what he's provided for us, especially after losing Elanga as well. And I saw a few signs in these halves of pre-season, because you can't look at the whole game. You're going to have to look at individual halves where a new formation is possible. Now, I don't think it stops Nuno being slightly negative in his approach, but we do need few more formations. And I don't agree with Crypto saying it's old-fashioned to play 2 up front. I think it's a lot more teams would do that if they had the place to do it. I just think they work well. The big man, little man formation works well in this situation. Go on, Crypto.
I mean, who are you calling a little man? Jesus?
No. Jesus.
I think the thing on the MGW situation, obviously he hasn't spoken about it, but it could have just been his agent trying it on, because his agent would get presumably a ton load of cash if he was sold, and also his wages doubling. I think they get around 10% of their wage bill. So for all we know, it could have just been his agent being a bit snaky. But I definitely agree that he's a true professional, and you can see even in the preseason games, like he's getting wound up with the ref. He's shouting at people. Like if his heart wasn't in it, he wouldn't do that. So I think MGW, as the type of player he is, he'll just want to play as well as he can, because maybe one day he does want to move. So I'm sure we'll still see 100% from him.
I think you lot are so woke on this whole matter, man. I really do. I really can't be asked against an MGW discussion.
No, I don't want to talk to about MGW.
No, like he wanted to leave. Like, why you look at he agreed with not just Spurs but with Man City as well.
I mean, the reports we heard is that he'd been declining contracts for 12 months.
Exactly. And suddenly, he stayed. It's like he still to me needs to prove himself on the pitch. I don't care if he wants to leave. I don't care if he never wants to, bleed red or whatever. If you're gonna play, you better perform. Done.
I just want to say one thing.
Hold on, go on, Crypto. Get your point, and then I'll get in.
People may not agree, but what I see at the moment is if we bring Douglas Luiz in, why not have Sangare on the right, Luiz in the middle, and Anderson on the left? And unfortunately, that would mean dropping MGW. Now, I know some people think he's our best player and you can't drop him, but that for me would be an interesting trio. Because if you look at Luiz's heat map, like Wolfie showed on one of the videos the other day, he is a proper CM. He's all over the pitch. Yeah. It's a different offering to what MGW is. MGW is, for me, yes, he can play in the 8, but he's a cam, isn't he? He's an attacking midfielder. Whereas Douglas Luiz can be all over the pitch. So it would be interesting. This is why I don't want Sangare sold, because I want people who are on the bench who are actually going to compete and change tactics during the game. And if you have players like MGW and Anderson and Luiz and Sangare, you can actually adjust your plan because they're all high quality.
And you still got Dominguez as well.
And Dominguez. That's the difference we need to do this season. Is we need our bench players to not just be fringe players, but players who can actually change the game. And I don't think they did that last season.
You know what I'm liking is that I'm in complete control of when Ant can speak, and there's no interruptions or anything like that. So I can't wait. I don't want to see any comments later on saying you're not talking over each other because he can't. He can't. Go on, Ant.
As I mentioned earlier, football fans are fickle. MGW has a couple of good games. The fans will be back on his side, I have no doubt. Yep. And Crypto was saying he wants good players on the bench. I mean, obviously, I agree with that, but I don't want any bench players. I want them all to be first-team players, and some of them have to be on the bench.
Saying challenging players, and they challenge each other for the position.
I cannot possibly envisage Sangare being a bench player who gets on, comes on. He's a first-team player, but so is Douglas Luiz, so is Elliot Anderson, so is MGW. And the one thing that when it looked like MGW was going, if I'm absolutely honest with you, I was disappointed in the price, but I thought, the positive I thought of is that would maybe force us to change our style because we wouldn't need to play with a number 10, and I think that does hold us back a little at times, that we have to play with a number 10 because MGW is on the pitch, and that's why I think a lot of us say we like him in the 8 because it changes the style we play. Then, it makes it more of a 3 in midfield. And I think that works well. I think that's the future. Right, can we put it back on mute then?
Wait, I think it's stopped. It stopped.
No. Has it? I don't think
no. We weren't speaking, so
no, that's them two. We don't want interrupting.
Maybe I was good.
I muted him. Go on, Nez.
No, I was going to say, so I mean, I just want to push back on a little bit on what Ant said there. Unfortunately, nowadays it is so much more of a squad game. You got 5 subs, so you will need players that need to be an impact. I understand what he's saying. You want everybody to be first team quality, and that's 100% right. But they're not all going to be starting games, and they're going to have their moments off the bench to impact games, and
they will across competitions. You think
exactly. So that was my other point. I was going to thank you for reminding me. Douglas Luiz is not going to be able to play every single game in every single tournament. So you need a Sangare. And I agree with you, Crypto. I don't want them bringing in Yates as a replacement for Douglas Luiz in that kind of formation. I do think a 3 in midfield can work with Anderson and MG Dub either side of a Douglas Luiz. I think we've seen signs of MG Dub being able to adapt his play, and he does need to if he wants to be part of any sort of 4-3-3 formation. I don't think Nuno will play 4-3-3. I think it will be a variation where he somehow manages to get MG Dub in a more advanced position. But I want to see Douglas Luiz come in to free up Anderson. I think Anderson is potential. I know Nicky doesn't agree, but I heard somebody say it the other day, and I think I've mentioned this on screen, but I heard somebody else mention it, so I'm going to say it now. He's got traits that remind me of Gerrard, the way he plays, and if he can, I think he can be a total midfielder. He can play in every single position there. He's still at early days. He's still young, but I think a player like Douglas Luiz, and I might be just blue sky in this, but I just think he would really bring the best out of Anderson, and obviously with that bringing the best out of Anderson brings the best out of the players ahead of him as well, because he's just I think he's untapped at the moment. I think he's played in positions where we've had to play him more defensively last season, and I think if you've got a proper CDM like Douglas Luiz in there, I think it frees him up, and that's what I want to see. I want to see
I don't
an
think
Anderson.
he's a CDM, bro.
No, I think he's more of a.
I think
He
is.
can
I
do
think
it.
he is.
I
can be
think
a
he
CDM.
is your box to box,
Yeah,
old
100%.
school,
Yeah.
proper box. But I want to move into this conversation. Let me just catch up on the super chats. By the way, guys, 600 in here and 140 likes. Take a quick
Come
second,
on, guys.
hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed if you're new. Also, jump into the Discord as well. I'll shout any newcomers in. Oh, we've got Kev who's joined, Dave who's joined, Max who's joined as well. Shout out to you guys. The link's pinned in there. They're still chatting even now while we're live. Those lazy kids. They're chatting away in the Discord now. Shout out to Stuart with another 20. He goes, "Ant, missed you, bro. As you too. I'm still struggling with Ben with the background and the Forest shirt. At some point, Stuart, we are going to make him take that shirt down, right, as we get to the new season, because we all know what happens with players in that shirt that gets hung up there, man. So, yeah, we hear you, man. We hear you. Shout out to you, Stu. Good to see you back in the chat, bro. Marky Boy with the £2. Good to have the main man, Ez, back. And that was for you there, Ez. Shout out to you, Mark. Big up to Richard. Happy 1 year anniversary, Ricardo. What you saying, bro? Thank you so much for the 12 months and the £2. He says, we must not sell no more players. We have to build. I agree, man.
Is that a double negative? Is that a double negative? Not sell no more players.
I think you're saying we should sell everyone.
That, you know what? Yeah. Richard.
Either that or he's a rap artist, you know.
So, Richard, you want to sell everyone, grammatically speaking. Shout out to you, bro. And Chris with another £2. He's gone, I've gone from Snake to best since Stanley Victor. Oh, best since Stanley Victor. Is he? Hoydonk was in between there. Andy Reid was in there. Would you put him up there? And let me unmute him. Wait, why can't I unmute you?
He can't be unmuted.
He muted it. I can't unmute you. You muted yourself, mate. I can't unmute you.
I can't unmute you either.
These children who are probably only about 50 years old, they know nothing.
Shout out to you, Chris. Shout out to Jasper as well. Ben, stop. Shout out to Jasper with the 23 months. Big up to you, coming up to the 2 year. And one of the most beautiful in the chat, Carol with the 27 months. Absolute legend. We're nearly at 200 likes, 164. Get it up to 200, guys, because we're about to get into the fun discussion, right? Chris is 52. He was only 2 years off, Chris. He was only 2 years off guessing it. Okay, let's make the assumption that Douglas Luiz comes. And chat, I'm going to put a poll out for you, okay? Firstly, can we get a consensus agreement that if we are talking hierarchy of midfield, we're talking Gibbs, not in this order, but in this grouping. Gibbs, White, Anderson, Sangare, Douglas Luiz, right? And then you would say Dominguez and Yates as the backups. Would anyone want to switch any of those names in and out for the purpose of this discussion? Okay. Out of those
Sorry, who
four,
did you say the backup? Sorry, who did you say the backups?
Dominguez and Yates.
I don't know about that. I think Dominguez has still got a big role to play.
Yeah, as
He played a lot of games last season. He played a lot of games last
Okay,
season.
I basically, and I don't want to do a 5-man or a 6-man poll here, right? I've only got space for 4, right? So you're gonna agree,
Fair enough,
okay?
mate. Fair enough.
Would you say Dominguez goes ahead of a Sangare or a Luiz? Okay, so I'm not debating this, that, and the other. Like, we're getting to the point here, right? If Nuno is playing in a 3, let's say it's still the 4-2-3-1. Who's getting dropped if Douglas Luiz comes in? That's the question I want to pose to you. Ben, I'm going to start with you. And I'm going to put a poll up in the chat. Who would you drop from those 4 names? You can only have 3. Who do you start in 3? Go on, Ben.
I mean, if we're saying a 4-2-3-1, then for me, I'd have to go Douglas Luiz effectively as the 6, Anderson as the 8, and MGW as the 10. And unfortunately, Sangare would have to drop to the bench, but that wouldn't be my personal formation. But if we had to do 4-2-3-1, I think Douglas Luiz comes in and edges it over where Sangare would.
What would be your formation? Ben, what would be your formation?
Wait, hold on, Ben. Sorry, I was just doing
Don't
the
let him
poll.
tell
So
you have to do a 3-man.
No, I know. We'll do both. We'll do it, but I was doing the poll.
Yeah.
Sorry, who you dropping? Sangare?
But yeah, I mean, I'd effectively put Luiz in the 6, Anderson in the 8, and MGW in the 10.
I
I don't think any of us could argue with that.
Yeah, well, no, I agree. I agree that Luiz, I don't think he really is a 6. I'd prefer to see Luiz as an 8, but then I don't want to drop Anderson because I think Anderson's one of our best players. That's why I wouldn't have that formation, because you're forcing yourself to effectively drop people into different positions.
I would actually be able to play all 4, but how would you play it then, Crypto? If you're not going with
do that. We'll go around. Do your what you think and how you would.
Well, I would effectively, depending on who's on form, I'd have Luiz, Anderson, and Sangare. But if MGW is firing on all cylinders, then probably drop Sangare and get MGW back in there. But it's hard to say, isn't it? Because they're all class players. But for me, Luiz is not really a 6. He's not that defensive role. Like if you play 3 across the middle, I don't want Douglas Luiz sitting back like Sangare would. I want Douglas Luiz to go forward in the same way that Anderson would. So that's why I'd have Sangare there to cover that defensive line. If you put Anderson, MGW, and Luiz in there, yes, it's a good midfield, but they're all attack minded. So then you start to lose that kind of defensive mind that Sangare has. So it depends on the match. It depends on the opponent. It depends on what the score is, who's fit, who's tired. Like,
do you understand what he's saying?
It
depends, and if this happens, that happens.
There's a lot of hypothetical. I would want to have a Sangare, a Luiz, and an Anderson, because I think that's a nice balance of a defensive-minded 6, and then Luiz and Anderson can go forward. If you have MGW, Anderson, Luiz, they're all going to go forward, and Ant's come off mute.
No, he's not gone.
Yeah, look, like I say, it depends on the game. Do you want to go attack-minded? Do you want to have a bit of defense? It depends, doesn't it? It's hard to say, it depends on the opponent. If you're going against a lower,
Rob.
if you're going against a lower opponent, then
interrupt him.
Go full attack. But for me, you've got to have Sangare there to drop back in to help the defense.
Okay.
I've said the same thing like 5 times in 5.
Said nothing, man. You've literally done a Rob, yeah.
Yeah,
someone Rob, why it's not here.
But I'll tell you why you said nothing, because this is a tough question. It is a tough question and a good question.
I think you lot are making it hard.
All right, go on, Mr. Problem Solver. What you got?
Well, I think Mr. Sci-Fi Monkey said exactly what I'm thinking here. Because I did so FPL wise, and by the way, guys, FPL is up and running, and I will do some updates for you. FPL wise, looking back
Mark,
at
chuck the FPL link in the chat. It's also in the Discord as well. Go on.
So going back to the 23-24 season when Douglas Luiz was last in the Premier League, they played a box midfield. Villa did for the majority of that season, and that box midfield had 2 CDMs, so him and Kamara. And they had more attacking players ahead of them. So I think they were playing at Zaniolo, and Moussa Diaby was cutting in and playing in that role. They looked fantastic playing in that role. And I totally disagree with you guys. He's a fantastic CDM. If you see the majority of that early season, probably 2/3 of that season, he was playing as a CDM, and he was fantastic. But they had a fluidness about them. So that box formation, that box 4, they were literally rotating, and it was working fluidly for them because they had 2 that could sit, but also Douglas Luiz could go forward with a ball. So I think I'd actually be able to play all four of our players that you've just mentioned there. You'd have Sangare and Douglas Luiz as basically the pivot,
A double pivot.
CDMs. Yeah, double pivot, and then you have Anderson and MG Dub ahead of him. Now, what you do in front of that, whether you still play Jesus and Wood together, I don't know. I might be playing one of them wide and one of them more central, but that forward midfield can definitely work. But if you're sticking to a 3, I don't see how you're going to drop MG Dub from that 3. I think it has to be.
So what the hell? You're playing a 4-2-2.
Yeah. No, I'm
So
not
you're
going for. Yeah.
are.
Basically, yeah. 4-2-2.
So you're going 2 up front.
Yeah, I'm going 2 up front. I'm still
What are
going.
you doing
I
with
like
Dan Ndoye?
Dan Ndoye. I don't think he comes straight in anyway. But I think he can take one of those
He's
positions.
He's one of our most expensive signings we've ever made.
Yeah, but I don't think he's coming straight in. I'm just giving you options. I'm not saying that's the only formation we're going to play.
Got out with your shit formation.
No. I don't think it is a shit formation, but I'm saying it's a formation that Nuno can definitely deploy and use all 4 of those players. But go on, and you jump in and tell me how shit my formation was going. Take over.
No, it's great being on mute because I can be the nice guy because I'm not interrupting people telling how shit their opinions are. No, I liked what you were saying up until the talk front. I can't go for that. No.
Okay.
That smacks of squeezing players into me. But I do like the box midfield. I do like the fact that we can use all 4. Unlike you, if we were going on a 2-3-1, I would go with Sangare as a 6, and I would go with Douglas Luiz as the roving 8, and I would go with Anderson as the 10. Or I would go with Anderson as a hybrid between 8 and a 10. Because I think that was a damn good midfield, and I don't think we need MGW in there flicking it and fucking it up.
I mean, a hybrid 10 is effectively the same as what I said.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But you said about 100 things.
No problem with that. We're allowed to. But I do like the idea of a box midfield as well, or even a diamond. Yeah, even a diamond. Yeah, with Sangare and then Luiz and Anderson and MGW. Yeah. That would work. But I do like a bit of width. I've got to be honest. I do like a bit of width. The 4-2-2-2 is too narrow for Forest, especially if you're relying on counter attack, because I think that down the wings is where we counter attacked a lot last season. And we've got Ndoye, and I think if you're paying 40 million quid for a player for a club of Forest size, you can't really spend 40 million players and stick him on the bench. I understand what you're saying. He'd come in at times, and you're right in some respects that it does depend on the opposition you've got as well, obviously.
Yeah.
On that logic, and if you're saying you can't drop Ndoye for the 40 million, how are you dropping Gibbs White on 150k on a new contract?
Because MGW is already here.
Huh?
Yeah, so he's not a new player, is he? So he's not a shiny new toy, so you don't have to see him.
Wait, you've just made him the most expensively played player in Forest history. You fought tooth and nail so he wouldn't go to Spurs. How is he being dropped, Ant?
Because I'm not saying he is being dropped. He won't be dropped. He obviously will play every fucking game. I'm saying what I think. I've not paid him 120 grand a week, so I can do what I like with him. And he is a fabulous player. But I think it's my preference that we have Sangare, Luiz, and Anderson. That's my preference.
I agree.
I just look at that midfield. I've muted you again. I look at that midfield and I think that midfield 3 just oozes physicality, strength, passing ability. I would say it's a little down on creativity if you take Gibbs White out of it. Anderson could be that creative spark.
Yeah.
I just love the idea. Like, one of Douglas Luiz's best traits for me was his ability to break into the box and get those key goals for Villa. I want. That's why I don't. I know what you're saying, as him as a CDM. I think he's a brilliant
Yeah.
CDM, by the way. He's brilliant at it, but I think he's better. Which isn't saying he's crap at being a CDM. I just think he's even better as an
But to
a
be
box
fair,
crusher.
I think he's sorry to interrupt. But I think he scored 10 goals that season, but 6 of them were penalties or free
Penalties,
kicks.
yeah,
So only 4 of them were from open play.
Penalties don't count.
I do get what you're saying. And I still think he would be able to do that. And I think he's got that quality. He's certainly got the engine. You know, you showed his stats. I think he averages 86 minutes. You know, so he's playing the majority of the game. He's not a player who's gassing and you're going to need to replace him. My only concern, I've got to say, and we've all touched on how impressed we've been with Sangare pre-season last year and pre-season this year as well so far. My concern is that I still don't think Nuno really rates him. Couple of key games towards the end of the season last year, he was our best player on the pitch, and he was the first one Nuno took off, and he did it several times. You know, when he wasn't passing,
and it changed the game when he took him off,
and it totally flipped the game. But the Leicester game was a perfect example of that. Example of that, and that's my concern with Sangare, because I think he's a quality player. We've got to keep him, and I think even bringing Douglas Luiz in isn't a reason to get rid of Sangare at all. I want to see him get more minutes, and I think he deserves it as well.
Is there, and I'm going to come to what Stuart's done in the chat. He's gone cray there. What legend. Is there a scenario where Anderson is the one who's dropped? Because at the moment, boys, to me, it feels like, if we're being realistic, I don't think MGW gets dropped.
No.
I think this is a Douglas Luiz for a Sangare, looking at through Nuno's paradigm here.
Yeah.
Realistically, that's how I see it. Unless he changes the formation and goes 4-3-1-2, which he might do, then you got the Dan Ndoye issue, you got the Callum Hudson-Odoi issue, and what have you. These are all good issues, by the way. And when none of us are sitting here.
Great headache. Yeah.
None of us are sitting here. And the other thing, before people start saying it, because I know they will, it's a squad game, it's this, that, and the other. We're talking here in this discussion about the Dream 11, you know, the All-Star 11. What would it be at Forest? We get that someone will get injured tactically. You might want to switch it up for a Liverpool game or a Arsenal game or whatever. But we're just talking like purist football here. What would be the best thing to see? And I just feel this is a Sangare versus Douglas Luiz thing. And I think if that's the case, Luiz is getting misprofiled, in my opinion.
I think, I mean, if you look at it from a Nuno perspective, I 100% agree. I think Sangare is likely to be the one to be dropped. I can't. He's not going to drop Morgan Gibbs-White. Let's be honest. Morgan Gibbs-White is not going to get dropped. Morgan Gibbs-White will play in that 10 position. I can't imagine Anderson getting dropped from the 8, and that basically leaves Luiz in the 6. Now, that's not necessarily what I would do, but I can't imagine that Nuno is going to change formation so dramatically, or just start swapping in and out players who performed well last season. And don't forget, there's a lot. I know it's Wolfie's favourite word at the moment. There's a huge amount of media saying that Traore is going to come in and play on the right as a starter. So that would say that effectively it's going to be a 4-2-3-1 still. So,
let's bring Anton, and then we got to get to the super chats. Go on.
Got to unmute yourself again.
Unfortunately, I tend to agree with you guys. I think Sangare is going to be the fall guy on this, and I think that would be a terrible mistake, because I think that Sangare is such a good 6 that it just seems a waste of Douglas Luiz to put him there instead. Do you know what I mean? Because he's got so much more to give going forward. And that season that Ez is referring to, I think he only played 7 games at CDM. So most of his games were as a central midfielder. And I think that's where we get the most out of him. It's almost a waste of his talent. I know that sounds awful, but it's almost a waste of his talent to restrict him to a CDM, because I think his passing ability is outrageous. And I think that to restrict him to CDM is going to lessen his impact on games. Don't get me wrong, as you say, Ez, he's a fantastic CDM, but Sangare is a fantastic CDM. So why, like I say, waste Douglas Luiz in that position?
Sangare is more defensive. I think.
On the back of that, do you see more? No, I was going to say. So on the back of that, do you see more as a MG Dub or Anderson replacement, and you stick with Sangare as your number 6?
You're on.
This is the issue, though, isn't it? Because this is why in my midfield, it was Sangare, Luiz, and Anderson.
Yeah.
And I know that's not going to happen because I know MGW is the god of Nottingham for some reason. But that would be my preferred. I think that's what would get us the most out of our midfielders. I think everybody then would be performing in a position that they're excellent at. You know what I mean? Rather than squeezing players in and making do. And that's
it's a good job that Danilo left, because otherwise Ant would be sat here saying Danilo should start ahead of Luiz and Sangare. But I think we should just emphasize Ezra's point. Not everyone will have been watching these pre-season games, right? It was 25 quid to watch 90-minute bore fest. I mean, the games are shit, let's be honest. So
all four of them,
we should just say that for those who haven't managed to watch the pre-season games, the two players for me who are outstanding are Sells, which is good because he's a year older, but he still looks class. And the other one is Sangare.
Agreed.
Sangare, he's bullying opponents. He's got 3 or 4 players around him. He's keeping control of the ball. He's making passes. He's literally cutting the other team in half with some of his passing. And he's playing like he did in those last 3 games at the end of last season. So if Nuno does sell him or doesn't start him, I would be shocked, to be honest, because I think at the moment he looks like one of our best players effectively.
Ben, you bang on, because what the other thing he's doing, and there were many moments in those friendlies where he had 2-3 players around him and he's basically saying, come get me. He just shields the ball off. He creates space. That's creating pockets of space for someone like a Douglas Luiz to fill it in, who he can then release the ball to, who he can then have the space with. And by the way, I am loving this debate because it feels like 4 years I've wanted to have this debate where we're literally arguing that all these players are in theory good enough to get into the We're not saying who's the least crap and put them in. We're saying who's got the best traits. And this for me makes me feel a lot happy clappery more about our prospects for next season. And all it's taken is a freaking midfielder link, because we've been so crap in midfield for so long that these are the debates I want to be having on here. Let me just catch up. We've got loads of super chats. And in the poll, who do you drop? 45% of you are saying Sangare in the chat. Chat, are you saying that you think Nuno's going to do that, or that's what you want to do? 32% would drop Gibbs White, 10% would drop Anderson, and 12% would drop Douglas Luiz. Let's catch up on these super chats. Where did we get to? Big up to Stuart with the £20. He says, breaking news, all the panel glance at Wolfie. I bought him their 23 frame. This year I bought him 100 square foot of land in Scotland, the motherland right there. He can go, he gets to dedicate a tree and be called Lord Wolfie. That's my boy Stuart hooking me up with that beautiful forest shirt with my age, right? Legit age. Big up to you, Stuart. That's really generous of you.
I thought I was your boy. I'm disappointed.
I mean,
and the reason Stuart couldn't get you on, because the numbers wouldn't fit on the shirt.
Big up to Joker, the legend with the 4.99. He says, apparently, Rentally was seriously pushing for Yunus Musa from AC Milan. Thoughts? You talking about the American midfielder? We were linked to him about 3 weeks ago, if I remember rightly. There is a video on him. He is decent, but I hope of being linked to him in addition to Douglas Luiz, because that's gone quiet over the last 3 weeks. Obviously, I haven't caught up on anything while we're live, Joker, but I would take him, but I wouldn't start him ahead of Douglas Luiz. Shout out to you for the 4.99, bro. Liam with the 4.99. He says, hi guys, off topic. My brother's starting his own Twitch. Just wondering if you could shout him out or pin it. He's a massive Forest fan. It's Ollie Pie _ come on you Reds. If you're on Twitch, go follow the legend. That is Ollie Pie _ come on you Reds, COYR. Liam, chuck it in the Discord as well. I think you did, didn't you, yesterday, mate? So chuck it in the Discord, and we'll make sure everyone can follow it easier there from the Discord, so they can click the link. Big up to you for the 4.99, and good luck, Ollie. We're here if you need any help, bro. Chris with the £2. He says, first world midfield problems at last. Exactly this, Chris. Exactly this. These are the discussions I've been gagging to have on this channel. Shout out to you, Chris. Curtis with the $5 says Sangare in the 6, Luis in the 8, Andy, I think Anderson in the 10, Ndoye on the left, Gibbs White on the right, and Chris Wood up front. Interesting. So he's dropping Hudson Ndoye. I don't like Gibbs White wide. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm not a massive fan of him out wide. I know he did it. He was pretty good at it at Sheffield.
That's what Cooper did.
I knew somebody would suggest that, but you're doing what I said I didn't want us to do, and that's squeezing players in for the sake of it.
Yeah. But it's an idea. We'll probably see it, Curtis.
It's an idea, but you know what? Go on, carry on. Sorry.
Let me just finish these. And the legend that is Stuart with 10 gifted. That's gone to Dead Inside. That's gone to Sergi Rodzinski. That's gone to Ed. That's gone to Xtal. That's gone to Carl. That's gone to Alexander. That's gone to Footy Focus. And a few others as well. Make sure you show Stuart, the absolute legend, some love, because tomorrow when we do the watch along, you guys will get to see the goals as they go in, thanks to Stuart. Stuart, you're an absolute legend. Much love to you, bro. And the lovely Jess giving us a little wave. What you saying, Jess? Are you worried about your boy Wood losing his position up front? Igor, what are you saying, Jess? Thank you for the £2. And this is what I wanted to ask you guys on, and Chris has brought it up because I forgot to. So shout out to Chris with the £2. Says Anderson will be 6. He loves it there. I hear all kinds of different stories that Anderson wants to be a 10, he wants to be a 6, and he wants to be an 8. There was discussions last season because his shooting still needs developing, I would say, in my eyes. And his work rates in our half are phenomenal. Is there a shout for him to be in the 6th position? Just before you guys answer that in chat, get your thoughts in as well. The lovely Sean with a gifted as well, stepping up just like Stuart did. The absolute legend. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it. Chat, what are you thinking on this 6th thing? And boys, let's start with Ant. Let's get him off mute and kick him off. Would you consider Anderson as the 6, which technically would annul, I guess, Sangare from playing?
Yeah, I mean, I suggested a long time ago when Sangare was injured that Anderson was more than capable of being a 6. You've only got to look at his work rate, his tackling ability, his awareness of where to be at the right time in the right place. He could definitely play 6, but again, similar to what I said about Douglas Luiz, to me, you're wasting a lot of his talent, because a lot of his talent is better, in my opinion, better utilised further up the pitch. So yes, he certainly could play 6, and I think he'd be a fantastic 6. But I wouldn't put him there for those reasons. And I think also, why are you getting rid of Sangare to put another player in that position? It doesn't make any sense. But yes, he certainly could play there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think he could play there. But the biggest difference between Sangare and Anderson is that Anderson likes to keep the ball quite close to him, and he's very, very good at it. But Sangare likes to make these like wide open cut passes. He's switching the ball to the other side of the pitch. He's making over the top passes. Like, I think Sangare's passing ability, although we might not have seen it much last season, it's really, really good.
I agree
and
with that.
Forest fans just need to have some trust in him that he can be that star 6 player. And I just hope he gets a chance. He needs the game time. So let's see. I have no doubt Anderson could play in 8, 10, or 6. So I think he's a class player.
Yeah.
But I think, like you say, square pegs in round holes. I'd put Sangare there.
What about this? Let me throw you a little curveball here, and I've put it in the poll. Sangare, Anderson can play on the left.
Yes.
It's not beyond, and we haven't discussed this at all. You could go a double pivot of Sangare, Luiz, Gibbs White in the 10, Dan Ndoye on the right, or Callum Hudson-Odoi, and put Anderson on the left. Would you contemplate that one, or is it a bit square peg round hole scenario?
I don't think it is. I think he is a very fluid player. And you just mentioned it, and I was literally having a look at his heat map from last season. And the biggest area of redness is actually on the left-hand side. He played a lot down that side. He certainly started the season there, which we didn't expect him to. And I think he can do that. But again, it's not bringing the best out of him. I've actually got no problem with Callum Hudson-Odoi switching across, and I know you spoke to our friend from Bologna. Yeah, talking about Ndoye's position. It is Ndoye, isn't it? Dan Ndoye, it's not Ndoye. Dan Ndoye's position is preferably on the left-hand side. And if you go back to Callum Hudson-Odoi's early career, where he set off at Chelsea, he was actually on the right-hand side. That's where he's getting most of his goals, most of his assists from. This cheat code that he's been doing, he's really only started doing it at Forest. And yeah, he can score from that, but he also can score and provide from the right-hand side. So I've got no problem with seeing Cho on the right and Dan Ndoye on the left. But to put Anderson there as a starting position, I think it's not using the best of his abilities, but he can play there. And if you look at his heat map from last season, that is predominantly where he did play for Forest.
Yeah. The one we haven't covered off, Anne, is a back three formation, which is what Percy was saying is being contemplated by Nuno in this whole new Nuno ball football stuff. So going to a back three, like Nuno's traditionally, and I'll bring you in 1 second. Nuno's traditionally, he's traditionally, when he was at his peak, say at Wolves, he would do a 3-4-2-1. So he'd like the inside forwards, and then he'd get his width, say, from the fullbacks, right? That's what he would like to do. But the talks really are more a 3-5-2 to accommodate for two strikers in this. So you could, in essence, just roughly speaking, could line up with Murilo Milenkovic and say Jair Cunha as your back three, or Morato, whichever way he wants to go. Let's just say Einar and Williams left and right wing backs, and then the two in the middle. And again, you still got the same problem then, haven't you? Because you got Douglas Luiz, Anderson, and what's his face, Sangare to fit into there with Gibbs White in the 10, and then obviously the two strikers as they are. Would you consider the back three, Em?
I personally wouldn't. No, I'm not a big fan. And again, you've got that similar, like you say, you've got that similar problem in midfield. I just don't like it. It's not for me. I don't think it suits our players. I don't think it suits us. I mean, we can do it. Don't get me wrong. But I like the midfield to be occupied. I don't like just having two in midfield. It scares me because most teams now have more than two in midfield. And if you're outnumbered in midfield, no matter how good your defensive midfielders are, it's bloody hard, you know. So no, personally for me, I wouldn't do that. No.
The thing is as well, like if you have five at the back, for me, Sangare's position effectively becomes redundant. You wouldn't have five at the back and then also play a solid CDM. It's far too defensive. You effectively got six defenders. So
because you could get Murillo to step out, and then you could make Anderson and Luiz a double pivot rather than a 6 in the 8.
The thing is, like, Nuno could be considering this. Maybe this is where the rumors of Sangare being sold have come from. I don't know, but it's just too defensive. And we tried it last season a few times, and it just doesn't seem to work. Look, we've got the players, or we will have the players who can control that midfield. I don't think we need to be scared of teams. It's quite a negative formation for me going five at the back. And
can I just interrupt you there? I wanted to concentrate on scoring more fucking goals, not concentrate on putting more defenders back.
And you're effectively then dropping wingers because you're playing wing backs, and the whole team dynamic changes. And it, like, I don't know, it just doesn't work. I can't imagine we'd be doing that. Some people might argue you go five at the back against someone like Man City, which I can understand, but still, I'd rather control that midfield. Like, we know what we have to do from last season. We have to control the midfield. The back four we've got have been fantastic. That's not been the problem. We hardly conceded any goals last season. The problem has been we didn't score that many, and the midfield wasn't that solid. So what's the point trying to kind of, emphasize the defense when that's the least problematic thing in the whole team?
But I agree with Cullis. So some your thoughts on this, Ez. Back five isn't negative necessarily if you're playing it to push your wingers up to create the space from there. Then you're getting the extra body because Murillo could step up into the middle of the park, create a double pivot between Say and Anderson and Luiz. Like, would you be totally against the back three?
Not at all. But horses for courses. In certain games, yes, I think it can be effective. But a back three works when you've got a ball-playing centre-back, and we have got a ball-playing centre-back. And that's why I think, it can be adopted in certain games. Murillo, we've seen him. If he's given that chance to come forward with a ball, knowing he's got cover behind him, you know, I want to see more of that. Ben talked about it in his first season by why don't we play him as a CDM? I think he's got aspirations of being able to play a position like that. So a free back would work when you've got a ball playing centre back like Murillo in there amongst the
because
three.
as just sorry to interrupt. The other thing to add, Jair Cunha loves stepping out the back as well. He's another one. Like I think he's still a bit raw at doing it, but his natural instinct is to step into the tackle and step out of the line as well. Sorry, Karen.
Yeah, so in games, and probably more in Europe than you'll see in the Premier League, there will be opportunities to play that kind of formation to give players like Jair Cunha that experience and allow him to come out with a ball. But we have got quality already, and the main point that Crypto says there, why change anything that isn't broken? You know, the best part of our season last season, the most solid part was our back five, you know, goalkeeper and the back four. I wouldn't be too tempted to change it, and I don't think Nuno will either. It's what we need is to improve ahead of him. Like Ant said, we need to score more goals. That was our biggest Achilles heel last season, not being able to have more than one formation or one style of play. And in games when we are given a ball, we couldn't break teams down. So we need more attacking options. I'm happy with the defense. I won't be playing around with that too much. But going back to it, there will be times, certainly in Europe, that we made up with free back. And certainly in games to tighten up games, Nuno will bring a third centre back on. So that's not against ever playing it, but to start too many games with that, I think it is negative, and I agree with what the boys have said already.
I'm just looking through my messages. There is a lot of noise about Yunus Musa and Forest right now. I'll go through all my messages and see what's going on. We'll put a video together, no doubt. I'm getting loads of messages.
Wolfie, just remind us what type of player he is. What's his position?
So
is he a midfielder?
CM. I'd say he's a straight CM, like an 8 in the middle. Plays in Italy. We were linked with him 3 weeks ago. Trying to think how much. I can't remember how much he's worth. About 20 mil, around that figure, 15, 20 mil. I don't know. You can't offer me Luis and then start chucking me a Yunus Musa. Do you know what I'm saying? Like when we were linked with him, it was just after the whole Tim Weah stuff was starting to collapse. It was like, oh great, now we're going by nationalities. We're finding another American. Good player. Does he get me off my seat? No. Douglas Luiz does. That's my opinion on him. He has potential. If we get Douglas Luiz and we get Yunus Musa, I'm all for that, bro. Bring that depth in. That's pushing Ryan Yates further down the pecking order. I've got no problems with that at all, right? But I want to just get Douglas Luiz over the line first, because any other CM... Now, Forest might be using this as a negotiation tactic with Juventus to say, why are you holding out for 40 million euros when you haven't played him and stuff? We have other options. So it could be. We've seen a few other clubs do that. Jay might be right. Musa is the Makiti alternative. That could be a case of it. And remember that the strategy is changing slightly because obviously Gibbs White hasn't gone. So is there a necessity for a Ramsey that Forest were heavily and seriously looking at, for example, or a McAtee? Has the thought process changed amongst the hierarchy of Forest?
The Ramsey one's especially gone quiet because that was almost a hot lead at one point.
It still looks like he is leaving. So yes, I'll round up all the messages I'm getting. We'll put a video together for you guys. By the way, we've still got over 600 in here, but the likes 234. What are you guys doing, man? Should be at least 300. Let's get it over 250. That's what, 14 more of you. Please hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're joining the Discord because I'll be dropping little nuggets in that Discord later on tonight. I can see Nismo's joined there. Daz is joined there as well. The link's pinned in the chat. Go join there. I'll make Ant go to the Discord this evening as well to chat to you guys. So apologize for how crap his mic is tonight. And yeah, 9 likes off 250. So 9 more of you. Make sure you've hit the like button. All right, I've delayed this long enough. We're going to have to talk about it because the other one's starting to resurface. Is Adama Traore. I've said what I need to say on him. What are you guys saying? And Adama Traore. Wait, have you been here for this one, Alan? No, Adama Traore has been linked.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've not been totally off the planet, just occasionally. Right, Adama Traore. When we play anybody with a Adama is on the bench, I always get a little bit of panic when he gets stripped off to come on because I know he can be dangerous. The problem is, as we all know, he ain't dangerous often enough. And sometimes he can be truly dreadful and a waste of space. If we could get him on a free and pay him, 40 grand a week and have him as a bench player, I wouldn't be against it because he can look frightening when he comes on. Not just his physical, size, but he can get to that byline. But no, I'm not a big fan. I never have been a big fan. I was amazed. He went to Barcelona, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was. I just couldn't quite understand.
He got sent back just as quick.
Yeah. So, in short, I wouldn't waste my money on him myself. But if we bought him, fine, long as he's not considered to be a major player.
Well, my issue with it, sorry, just to interrupt you, boys, is that it was literally said as the direct Elanga replacement.
No.
Yeah,
No,
I can't.
It can't be that. It can't be that.
Yeah,
and I think that's lazy journalism, though. Do you know what I mean? He's fast.
Agree.
He's a winger.
It was from John Percy, though.
Mm.
The thing is, I
mean,
mean,
he's an excellent foreign list. Yeah, that's fair enough.
We need squad players. We're going to be in 4 competitions. We need more players. I think really we need to sign another 5 or 6 players. And he's not a bad backup. He does offer something different tactically with his speed, with his strength. Again, I said this many times last season. Elanga for me is the type of player you put on with half an hour to go when the defense are tiring. Maybe Traore could be that guy instead. If you use him tactically, I mean, he destroyed us when he played against us. So, yeah, he may not be massively consistent, but he did a good job when he played us. So,
yeah, he seemed to have his best game last season was against us. Was he up against Nico? Was he up against Moreno though? I think Nico's. Was it Nico? Oh.
Nico's quite small though. He's not that strong. He's probably your size. If you got Traore.
It's probably Nico's only bad game last season, to be fair, because even in games when the rest of the team weren't performing, Nico was. So I'll give him that one. But I don't have a problem with him, honestly. And as a bench warmer, as an option, he's certainly better than Sosa was or Jota, in my opinion. He's got Premier League experience, obviously. I haven't got a problem with him. For the right price, I'd have him as a squad player. Certainly not as a starter. He's nowhere near being a starter. I'm sorry. Callum Hudson, even an injured Callum Hudson-Odoi is more of a threat than him. So I'd rather have him on the right-hand side than Traore. But as somebody off the bench, I ain't got a problem with it, mate. I don't know. I don't really know what your problem is, Wolfie.
Well, you lot are not understanding my problem. Right.
No.
What Ben said is problem number 1. If I pictured Dan Ndoye coming in as the replacement to Elanga, right? Because I've seen him on the right, seen him on the left. I think he scored more goals on the right than he did on the left. But after speaking to Ricardo, who was like left, I could just hear John Percy's words in my head, even though they were typed. Direct replacement Elanga. And that scares the absolute crap out of me. Because if we're starting Adama on the right-hand side, that's a no from me. And let's move that on to a backup, right? I get what people say about him being a backup. I have no problem with that philosophy of him being a backup. But if we go to the whole floor and ceiling scenario, I don't think he raises the floor at all from that position, because the man can't cross, the man can't shoot. The only fullback he's ever been able to beat in the last 12 months is our fullback. So I'm sure he'll look fantastic in training against Nico Williams. I would rather Forest went for a Tyler Dibbling, who is still young. Yes, he will cost more. But he has that potential and that future where you can use him as a backup, knowing that in a year or 2 time, even less, he's going to absolutely cook in the Premier League.
I think with Tyler Dibbling's price tag, I don't see him coming as just a backup.
They've dropped it, man.
Well, they dropped it too.
I don't know, but they've dropped it.
It was 55, wasn't it, or something like that? They've dropped it. Okay.
Everton put it. Everton put in 27 that got rejected. So I'd say like 30, 35. Something like that.
Well, we're not like for like players anyway, so I don't think you can't have both of them, you know. But I haven't got a problem with him, and I don't think your argument's good enough, mate. I'm sorry. I think you would be a threat off the bench.
Troy is purely an impact player. Purely an impact player.
All right, how much
purely an
impact did he have on Fulham? Forget Wolves. How much impact did he have? Because by the way, he wasn't starting for Fulham. He was their backup impact player. And by the way, they finished below us in the league with less points than we did. Okay. So are we really getting Fulham's backup player to be our backup player? That's my whole thing. This doesn't raise the floor for me, boys. We're going into a European campaign. He is going to get starts. That's the other thing people are missing. Because we're going to have so many games, there will be certain parts of the season where he starts. If there's injuries, if we got a Thursday, Sunday game, he's going to start. I don't trust him enough to be a starter. I get the impact thing. You don't want to come up against this freaking Hercules with 20 minutes to go while you're knackered as a, say, left back or whatever. I get that. I'm not discounting that argument. My point is, what's he going to bring onto the pitch apart from fear?
If getting him blocks other players coming in, then I'm not for it. But if he's literally a backup, which I think at his price tag at his age, he can't be anything more than that. I'm fine with it. But if, like I say, if he comes in and that stops us going for a Fofana or a like player, then yeah, I've got an issue with it.
Yeah, I mean, Saifa is saying, is he worse than Jota and Sosa? I would argue yes. I'd say he's worse than Sosa. Jota's a better finisher than him. And Jota's not really a winger either. Jota is like
you know what? I think Sosa's another Dennis for you, man. I think you think there's something there, but I can't see, man. I didn't see any glimpses of, man. I know you're going to say he wasn't given a chance, but you're saying you're going off what he did before he came to Forest, and I didn't see any signs of that when he was at Forest.
All right, and I'm going off from Traore, what he did before he's come to Forest, and I ain't seen it.
Like I say, I haven't got a problem with Traore being a backup. I just got a problem with him being somebody that's going to be nailed down for starts, and there's nobody else coming in behind him.
This is the point. Scott, shout. You see, you just got to rely on my brethren there, right, in Scotland to make the point better than I did. He says, why buy someone who can't challenge the first 11? Exactly the point, right? If you're bringing him in and you're saying to him, we're going to keep you nicely lubed up, nicely oiled up for 70 minutes, for when Dan Ndoye or Hudson-Odoi gets a little bit knackered and then you get your cameo run. How is that putting any pressure on the starting 11 to make sure they're performing 100%?
Right. I do want Ant to comment on this, but this just proves the flip-floppiness of Forest fans. You know, a couple of weeks ago, it was the end of the world, and now we're deciding which players we can bring in and we can't bring in. We couldn't attract anyone a couple of weeks ago. So it's not as if we've got a horde of players lined up to come to Forest. Nothing's really changed in the last couple of weeks, apart from we've managed to get one name in and we've managed to secure MG Dub. So I don't see where it's gone from one extreme where we couldn't attract anyone and now we're turning down players. But Ant, jump in, please.
You're missing the point. No, just one more point, right? If you were to say in those 4 or 5 midfielders that we're discussing, right? If you said to me you're dropping Sangare and you're playing Luis Anderson and Gibbs White, I would say I don't agree with that 3, but I don't have a problem with it. If Ant turned around and said he's dropping Gibbs White and playing the other 3, I would say I kind of agree, but I don't have a problem with it. If Ben now turns around and says he's dropping Dan Ndoye to bring in Adama, I don't think anyone would say that's a good idea.
Just for the record, I never said that.
You never said that. But do you see my point? Like, when we've just had discussions now about, and that's probably been one of the best discussions I've enjoyed in years on this channel, because we're talking about quality players and we're trying to figure out how they fit. To then go to the right-hand side and say, let's bring in freaking baby oil in there as backup. Why not bring a Tyler Dibbling or something? I know it's more expensive, okay? And I'm not saying we have to, but for Fofana or whoever, right? Bring that caliber of player in who's going to challenge, where we can have that discussion again and say, well, hold on, Callum Hudson-Odoi played well last season, but is he going to be consistent on that right-hand side? Dibbling's got this quality, that quality, and the other. If we can have that conversation in every position, rather than saying, this is our defined starter and the backup is down here, then what are we doing? Where's the progress?
No, I see what you're saying there, but like I said, he shouldn't be the only one we're looking at. And if that is the case, and I've got a problem with it, but he would fit into a squad rotation formation with the amount of games we should be playing next season. That's the only thing I'm saying. But if he's the only one we're going for, I've got a big problem with it. I want to hear from Ant though. He has not said anything.
Let me catch up on the supers. Curtis with the $5. He goes, no squeezing, and Gibbs White on right stops. Trevella's tuck into make box MF and allow Einar to bomb up and create the width on the right. Big brain. Go on, Ant. You want to respond directly to Curtis?
I don't even know what he's talking about.
Talking about FIFA terminologies. Trevella is the outside of the boot passes.
Yeah, I know, but is he? What's he saying?
He said start Gibbs White on the right hand side, is what he said earlier.
He would start Gibbs White on the right hand side.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. Move on.
There you go, Curtis. You got your answer. Shout out to you, Curtis. And my guy, Scottish, says with the £5, if we're going to play 3 at the back, surely we need another proven CB, keep the back 4. I agree. I think most of the panel agree on a back 4 over a back 3. I think we see the back 3 in the style we saw it last year, where we're 1 or 2-0 up and it gets to the 70th minute and Nuno goes, right, end of the game. Let's lock it down. I think that's when at least that's what I would hope would happen. Shout out to you for that, bro. And then obviously your super chat was the best one of the night because you said it better than I could. We are 30 likes away from 300 likes. If you haven't hit the like, please do. Let's bring Ant in onto this debate and about the floor ceiling thing that I was saying. What are you saying, mate?
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not yet in a position where we can have top quality challengers or top, I said earlier on, I don't want challengers. I don't want backups. I want people that can challenge, and that's the right philosophy. But in reality, we're not quite there yet as a club where we can manage to do that. So I think that Traore would be okay as long as it's understood that he's an impact player for the last 15, 20 minutes. I don't want him starting. He's not, in my opinion, not good enough. I'm glad that we've actually got onto the forward part of the team because I think that at the back we're pretty good. Yeah. I'm not a fan of Morato. I think he can go. I think he can go. I'd have no problems with it. I don't know about Cunha. I've seen him play. He looked very good when I've seen him play. But again, it's not Premier League. It's a big change. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But I think at the back we're pretty good. Midfield, if we get Luiz, I'm happy. I think we're pretty covered in all positions and all eventualities. Up front, I'm still not happy. I don't know how good Ndoye's going to be. I just don't know. I'm not saying he's not going to be good. I'm saying I don't know whether he's going to have the same impact as Elanga had. And we've got no backup. On the other side, Cho, I'm not sure about last season. He had good games. He played quite well at times, but he seemed to be out quite a lot and he seemed to be ineffective on a number of occasions. I don't think he was anywhere near as effective as Elanga was. So again, I'm not that confident. And again, we have no backup. As for the front, Jesus has got a lot to prove. I understand he's played very well or pretty well in the time he's had on the pitch. But he's got a lot to prove because the Brazilian league is quite frankly.
Sorry,
yeah.
Speaking of Jesus, there's Jesus' celebration. Beautifully displayed by Rob. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, the Brazilian league is pretty rank, and even in that league, he couldn't score for toffee. So, I'm not getting overexcited. Let's see how that goes. I'm not saying he's not going to be brilliant, but I'm not, holding my breath. And Chris Wood is, once again, as we've said, a year older and a year slower, which means he probably can't move. So I'm not that happy with the front line right now. And it doesn't appear that we're actually working on getting anybody for the front line. It seems like we're happy with that, and I'm not. So I am worried. And again, from what I understand, having not watched the games, we've been pathetic up front in the preseason games. So that's what. So I'm worried about. I'm worried about the lack of goals.
And it's not even, just to annoy you further, it's not even the lack of goals, the lack of creativity, bro. You're on mute. One sec. Like Boys, can you remember clear-cut chances being created in all 4 of those matches? It was shocking, man. It was absolutely shocking. So your point is valid, but you saying we need another striker and or an attacking option because Gibbs White's meant to be the one creating that.
We need a lot. We need 2 wingers. We need a striker. And okay, I'll give Morgan Gibbs White the benefit of the doubt that he can create. And Douglas Luiz certainly can create. His passing ability in that forward position is fantastic. And he takes corners and free kicks as well, which is pretty damn useful.
Yeah.
Because Ilanga was doing the majority of that last season. And of course, he's gone. So we need that replacement, you know. So he would be great in that respect. So yeah, I think we need 2 more wingers at least. I think we need another striker. And I'm okay, like I say, with MGW and Douglas Luiz if we get him as being able to create. And Anderson, of course, he can occasionally. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm happy with the defense and got all fucking American. Defense. My apologies. I'm happy with the defense, the midfield, but I am seriously concerned about the attack and lack of goals and lack of chances, as you say. Oh, and also I'm a bit concerned that last minute somebody like Real Madrid will come in for Murillo, but that's for another day.
That's not happening. All right. I think that covers everything.
Can we just make one more point?
Go on.
I agree with what a lot of what you said, Am. But the thing I'm most concerned about at the moment is that if Miguel's been told to leave, our backup is Bot. And I'm sorry, but you cannot go into the Premier League season with only effectively one main keeper. Bot is not going to be good enough as a backup keeper. We need another keeper. If Miguel is going, you need to get another keeper in there. It would be absolute carnage if Sells got injured and Bot became our number 1 keeper.
Yeah, and just to update everyone, Matt Turner has officially left. Woo! He's gone. Miguel has been told to basically do one. Not that dramatic, but So yeah, that leaves us with Wayne Hennessy, who's no longer technically a goalkeeper. He's now Sells' boss, I guess you would say, technically speaking, because he's on the coaching staff. So we are down to Sells plus Bot. And I fully agree with Jeff. Jeff's nailing his comments today. John from Botafogo, cracking goalkeeper. Absolutely cracking goalkeeper.
Surely Licky Vicky.
Huh?
Surely Licky Vicky.
Livakovic.
I thought that was a play on words saying Botafogo.
Yeah, no, the old school name for him. I think we might get John, to be honest. I think West Ham put 8 mil for him and it got rejected. But if Marinakis gives Textor a call, we know we'll get him for a £5. Gunners.
Well, you were asking the question, I think, whether we need a backup or we need a first team goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Now, I think we have got one of the nicest goalkeepers that we could possibly have. I don't think Sells would have a problem with somebody else coming in as a number 1 ahead of him. I don't think he'd have an issue with sitting on the bench and being a backup goalkeeper. So I think we should be looking for a number 1 goalkeeper. As good as Sells was last season, I think we should be looking for a number 1 goalkeeper.
He was on par with the Golden Glove.
100%. I agree. But we still should be looking for someone better than Sells.
He's not going to be around. I don't think he'd be happy. I don't think he'd be happy with number 2, Ed.
No, Sells.
Honestly, I think he would be fine with number 2. I think he would be fine.
I don't think he would be dropped.
No, I don't think he would be dropped. There's no way they'll drop Sells. He's
If there's a better goalkeeper coming in, I wouldn't have a problem with him being dropped.
Winner last year.
There's not many better goalkeepers you can bring in, bro.
He looks class in the preseason as well.
He had a cracking season. I've been called insane. He had a cracking season. But are you saying somebody's going to be happy to come in as a backup? How many good backups are there in the Premier League? Come on, man.
Yeah, but the likelihood is that they probably won't have to play that much. But just in case, you need a better goalkeeper backup than Bot. But you can't drop Sells. That would be.
I don't think Miguel was that bad.
No. That's not what I said. No. You see, you totally strawmanning what I said. That's not what I said. I said anybody that comes in should be better than Sells. They should be challenging Sells. I didn't say drop Sells. But if he's better, Well, we can find out, can't we? You're saying there's no goalkeeper in the world available that's better than Sells?
Hermanson would be a good number 2 for us.
Donnarumma's available, isn't he?
So you
He
guys
is.
want number 2, yeah?
Donnarumma's
You wanna
going
back
Man
him?
United.
No, I'm with what you're saying to a certain extent, Ez. But I would slightly tweak it. I wouldn't mind getting a younger keeper who's gonna be number 1. Like I don't rate him, but for example, say we got a Trafford in a player at that level, because Sells is what 33, pushing 34, something like that. If you bring a keeper who's about 22, 23, I'm just using, let's just say Kelleher as an example, right? Now we're not at the level where we can do this, but someone like that who has maybe had a bit of Premier League experience, who will sit there for a year or two behind Sells, and then Sells at 35, maybe the switch starts. I get that. I just don't think you can go and get I'm trying to think. Like if we went and got John from Botafogo, I think he wants to be a number 1. I think he's good enough to be a number 1. Like the keeper position is hard. I agree with you. I'd rather have 2 number 1s than a number 1 and a number 2. I think that's what you're trying to say. Yeah.
Ideally, it would be a age profile of what you've just said, a Kelleher, but we missed out on him. He would have been ideal.
We missed out on him. I still don't think Miguel should be got rid of. I think his kicking is woeful, but his saves are okay. Everyone's hard.
Don't agree. He has to go. He has to go. It's not just his kicking that's crap. He's just not the man.
He's not one bad game against Exeter, man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know. Exeter, yeah, okay.
They destroyed him.
As the chat's not happy with you. The chat is not happy with you.
Yeah,
I know they're not, but
I don't think there's any.
You have to ask what I've been
bringing a player better than Sells. I don't think Sells would be happy to be number 2 at all. I mean, he played for Benfica for many years as the number 1 keeper, and he's come to Forest as the number 1 keeper. I don't think he'd be happy. What we need, in my opinion, is unfortunately, exactly what Wolfie says, and that's a 22, 23-year-old who's up and coming, got a good future, and who will be willing to learn off Matt Sells, but would be good enough.
I agree.
Darlow's not a bad shout, but would be good.
Darlow's not young and up and coming, man.
Darlow's
no, I know that was an aside, but yeah.
But that is, and I agree with that. That's the other extreme, isn't it? You either go young or you go old. You go someone who's got the Premier League, like a Darlow. I get that, who can step in if Sells gets injured,
and he'd be willing to be number 2.
Exactly. Yeah,
because that's always a difficulty of bringing goalkeepers in.
Maybe get Vlachodimos back. But look, the bottom line is, boys.
The result is that at the end of the day, we always win.
Yeah. All right. On that note, we're gonna wrap up. We've got an hour and a half.
Can I just mention that I've heard that Mr. Marinakis has tucked Textor in his back pocket yet again, and is on about taking over Botafogo now and just hiring Textor as his
bitch.
Gopher.
Bitch boy, yeah.
But as it's hiding behind his sunglasses now.
That's
no, this is to celebrate Matt. Well, I forgot about Matt Turner leaving. I would have worn my Hawaiian shirt, but sunglasses will have to do, man.
Ez, what you don't know is that we're loaning back Matt Turner as our number 2.
That's up. You'd love that.
Oh, I met 3 separate Spurs fans on the ship, and all 3 of them were ranting and raving about how brilliant MGW is and how they were so annoyed that they didn't get him.
You set him straight, yeah.
The thing is, like, on that point, if you watch a match on TV and stuff, the commentators, the pundits, everything's about MGW. And I think they hype him up so much to be this like massive superstar. And he is a good player. Don't get me wrong. He's a very good player, but they hype him up to be like this best guy, this best player who's like the best player for Forest in like 30 years. And it's just bollocks. He's
our Bruno Fernandes. Good on the highlights still. But anyway,
Milenkovic is better for a starter, and so is Sells, the keeper that Ez wants to retire.
Yeah, but I'm jumping, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna send you over to Dan. He's about to hit 1K, so if you guys can hook him up, that would be legendary. He had some computer issues, so I was helping him earlier. So if you could spam, and the word is RAM, but do we want Forest fans to be typing RAM? All right, just type in PC. Type in PC in his chat. Yeah, and And let's get him over 1K. He's a United fan, but he's a top bloke, absolute top bloke. Make sure you've hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Transfer video and watch along coming your way tomorrow, as it's the I guess we're calling it the Trevor Francis derby tomorrow, isn't it? So it's Forest versus Birmingham. We'll see you for that. Enjoy
not in this
your
chat, Ever.
evening.
Or the Kenny Burns derby.
Yeah, but this one's for Francis, man. You Reds.